I now invite Hussain Awan to say a few words on behalf of the graduating class of this year's 2022 Arts class and Valedictorian.
Mr. Chancellor, members of the Platform Party, fellow graduates and guests. Before we do begin, I'd like to acknowledge that we're gathered here today on the unceded land of the Kanien'kehá:ka people. The island we call Montreal is known as Totiake in the Kanien'kehá:ka language and has historically served as a meeting place for Indigenous nations. As McGill graduates, we must, therefore, address how we are complicit in the continuous colonial process in Totiake, specifically here at McGill University. Specifically here at McGill, recognizing that decolonization is not simply a metaphor for social justice or societal improvement, and that it involves material repatriation and the giving back of Indigenous land and life, both in Turtle Island and abroad. Class of 2022, we have been through so much together. We've also been sitting here for a while, and I'm going to be honest, I need to go to the bathroom, so I'm going to keep this short. Here's something none of you will have heard before. We've encountered unprecedented times. While for most people around the globe, these strange, difficult, disorienting, and trying months began in March of 2020, our cohort entered its unprecedented times much earlier, in the preceding October, when an overzealous city food inspector banned samosa sales from McGill campus. Talk about big government, man. And now that we're back, they're $2 each. Like, a smooth investigation that I, for one, would welcome would be into samosa price gouging by campus clubs. Now, you don't need me to tell you this, but after that came 2 years of online Zooms, breakout rooms, and bright red, and often highly tempting leave meeting buttons. They've got a big smile on their face. I know they've clicked it once or twice before. As graduates from the venerable Faculty of Arts, I'm sure all of us have had to put up with people giving us grief about the employability of our degrees. Well, the joke's on them now, because we weren't the ones who had to learn how to build a bridge or do brain surgery over Zoom. I've yet to hear about someone dying from a poorly written poli-sci essay. The nice thing about being back after such a long time away is the gradual realization that some things never do change. Leacock is still under construction. It's bound to be the nicest building we'll never see. And as McGill Redditors will know, Cloudberry the squirrel continues to patrol the campus grounds, where some even suspect that she's having cloud babies. In a few short moments, these ceremonies will conclude, and our time in this 32-hectare space within our metropolis, with its beautiful green leaves and orange construction pylons, will come to an end, and we will enter the world beyond the Milton Gates. Now, we will be entering that world with things we didn't have 4 years ago. Obviously, we're leaving with degrees from the Faculty of Arts at McGill University in tow. It's sometimes easy to gloss over the hard work that each and every one of us put in order to be able to relish the accomplishment of sitting here at this convocation. You know, I was talking with an older relative recently, and he urged me to be conscious of the privilege and responsibility that comes with the degrees being conferred on us today. That there are quite literally billions of people around the globe who would do anything to be in the position that we are in as graduates of an elite institution like McGill. More so than a piece of paper, though, is the knowledge that we've gained and the intellect that we have refined over the last 4 or so years. But there's a tricky thing about knowledge, which is that it's no good on its own. The facts we've memorized and the journal articles we've read have no intrinsic value if we do not then mobilize them for something greater, a more transcendent objective than our own selves. In the words of Aristotle, intelligence consists not only in knowledge, but also in the skill to apply that knowledge into practice. So, my fellow graduates, with this piece of paper comes a responsibility to act. To act for others who do not have a voice with which to demand their rights, or the power to defend themselves, or the privilege to wear the caps and gowns of a university such as ours. How you wield that moral imperative that accompanies our degrees is up to you. What none of us can afford to ignore, however, is how we, as cogs in the wheels of larger institutions such as this one, are complicit in the forces resisting this change. For instance, we can't afford to ignore how the very university we are leaving has moved lethargically and ineffectively to divest from fossil fuels. All the while ignoring student movements that call on it to decouple itself from investments suspected of being complicit in apartheid and the abuse of human rights abroad. I'm not going to rehash the platitudes about the new opportunities that COVID has created, but it is true that the pandemic has shown us the ephemeral nature of our world and just how fragile human life is. Think about that. It's a chance to take stock of our priorities. Do we care more about our narrow individual ambitions, about competing with our classmates and work colleagues, about endlessly growing endowments, or should this instead awaken us to our common humanity? A humanity that rests on justice, on goodness, in the knowledge that we won't always be around, but that we can still strive to leave the world a little better than we found it. McGill then will have served as not only a place where we learn some names and some dates and how to create a Chicago-style citation, but also as an arena of personal growth and development, one that will have nurtured the maturity that allows us to understand the actions demanded by our newfound knowledge. Graduates, our time here is nearly done, and our time in the real world is about to begin. Let's cherish this moment one last time. As Ray Magliozzi famously put it, you will never have more energy, enthusiasm, hair, or brain cells than you have today. Reference from wikihow.com/how to write a graduation speech. In all seriousness, in the coming years and decades, I hope to follow along from afar as you all get up to brilliant things and become brilliant people. Félicitations, my fellow graduates. Go make us proud.
So thank you, Hussain, for your challenging and funny and good remarks. Thank you. Will the graduating class please stand? Hussain too. Et Madame Brossard. Okay. Je demande à tous les diplômés de se lever. In my capacity as Chancellor of McGill University, I declare and confirm that each of you is now entitled to the distinction of the degree, diploma, or certificate that has been conferred upon you with all the honors, rights, privileges, and as Hussain told us, responsibilities that are pertinent thereto. À titre de chancelier de l'Université McGill, je déclare et confirme que chacun de vous a maintenant le droit à la distinction de grade, diplôme ou certificat qui vous a été conféré, avec tous les honneurs, droits, privilèges et responsabilités qui y sont rattachés. Félicitations, congratulations.